Everybody, John back here again with another video, and I'm here to give you another top 5 list. Yes, it's that time of the week again, so let's get into this week's top 5 list. Now, considering the fact that we're about 3 to 2 months away from Batman v Superman Dawn of Justice hitting the big screens, I decided to do another top 5s dedicated to Batman v Superman. Now, last year I started this whole segment in my top 5s where I dedicated a top 5 to Batman v Superman Dawn of Justice just as hype overall and just giving my personal thoughts and feelings and love to the Batman mythos and the Superman mythos and, quite frankly, recently, the Wonder Woman universe. And I've had a lot of fun with it. I think it's been enjoyable to just do this kind of stuff. But overall, it's time to get into the nitty-gritty, the creme de la creme of top 5s that I personally have been wanting to do all along. And I'm finally here to do that. So let's get into it. This week, I gave you my top 5 Batman actors list. Yes, the actors who have, in my personal opinion, done an amazing job donning the cape and cowl. Yes, who have portrayed Batman. Now, personally, for this specific list, other than just being a subjective list and my personal list and my personal thoughts, I do have a specific criteria for this list. I will not be choosing any actor who has not performed as Batman, but has performed as Bruce Wayne, but has never actually donned a cape or cowl / costume. I will not be choosing any actor who is yet to be seen on the silver screen, and of course I will not be choosing any impersonators, nor will I be choosing any actors who have portrayed the character of Batman in TV spots or commercials, or of course in the many animated universes, and of course none on the internet. So unfortunately for actors like David Masseuse and, Ben Affleck and the amazing Kevin Conroy and Kevin Porter, unfortunately, considering they are great actors and done an amazing job with the Batman character, they will not be included on this list. I will only be choosing actors who have actually portrayed the character of not only Bruce Wayne, and also Batman in a official licensed live action formatted, whether it be the TV shows or the movies. So with that being said, let's get into this top 5 list. Coming in number 5 has to go to Robert Laurie, who portrayed the character of Batman in the 1940s Batman and Robin serials. Now, when you're living in a 2016 setting with the amazing comic books and TV shows and movies and superheroes that we have today, it's very difficult to go back to the 40s of comic books and see what kind of live action shit they were throwing at the time. However, when you do go back to the 40s, Batman was pretty awesome at the time. I mean, they did a lot of really cool stuff in those serials, especially considering you didn't have to deal with any kind of overly fantastical superhero stuff, especially seeing as how, Batman wasn't as overly, super powered at the time. And of course, Robert Laurie as Batman did a fantastic job in my personal opinion. I mean, I wouldn't put him at number 1, but he definitely makes at least the list of a good Batman actor. I mean, he had amazing presence. He was very serious and dark at the time. And also, when you go back and look at the overall scope of what the writers and creators of these specific serial shorts put into the show, they did a lot of real good, not only for their specific interpretation of Batman, but what they crossed over into the comic books, like the Batcave and all this other kind of various stuff. So overall, Robert Laurie, here's looking at him. But moving off of Robert Laurie and going to number 4 on this list has to go to Val Kilmer as Batman in Batman Forever. Now, I personally am not a big fan of the Schumacherverse. I know there's a ton of people out there, especially on YouTube, who actually love the Schumacherverse and consider it to be their favorite interpretation of the Caped Crusader. I don't personally. I actually think it's kind of the worst interpretation of Batman and also some of the worst comic book movies we've ever seen. However, when you go back and look at Batman Forever specifically, there is a lot of interesting, fun elements to it, and there is a lot of good in it. And one of the specific silver linings of Batman Forever has to be Val Kilmer's performance as Batman. Now, for me personally, I'm a huge fan of the Batman that came before him. However, Val Kilmer gave a lot of weight to Batman, and he brought a lot of very interesting elements to his portrayal of Batman, and he killed it. I mean, Val Kilmer at that specific era and time was one of my favorite actors of all time, and he was on a roll. He was in the game. He was leading man material. Of course, considering the fact that it's kind of tainted with this overall Schumacher verse of like Leon lighting and all this kind of weird, crazy, stupid stuff, it's still a pretty good performance. Go back and check it out. Val Kilmer is awesome as not only Batman, but Bruce Wayne. He was actually, at least in my personal opinion, the first actor to hit the Batman franchise to really look great as not only Batman, but Bruce Wayne, which I think was amazing plus. But moving off of that and going to number 3 on this list has to go to Adam West. Now, very similar to the 1940s Batman, it's very difficult as a 2016 comic book fan to go back and check out a specific era in time. However, the 60s was a very interesting time for Batman, and of course it was at least widely known as the cheapest, the most campiest, colorful time of Batman's history. However, when you actually look at the logistics of the 1960s Batman and the 1960s Batman movie, minus all the campy stupidity that they put in that specific era of Batman's universe and how it crossed over with the comic books, there's a lot of good, there's a lot of fun, there's a lot of entertainment and awesomeness to the Batman 60s show, and Adam West as Batman kills. I mean, like, he's so great, he's so classical, he's so fun. He just gave Batman an entirely new scope of, like, characterization, and everything else that goes into his version of Batman is fun and awesome and just entertaining, and you always get a kick and a smile out of it. And even though looking at it today is very campy and very cheap and very colorful, which Batman realistically should not be, it's still fun and awesome, and Adam West's performance as Batman is phenomenal. But moving off of that, and going to number 2 on this list, has to go to Christian Bale in the Dark Knight trilogy. Now, for me personally, Christian Bale, or at least specifically the Dark Knight trilogy, has been my favorite interpretation of Batman thus far. Of course, we have to wait for Dawn of Justice to really get the overall landscape of this new Batman, but as of now, the Dark Knight trilogy is my favorite interpretation of the Batman mythos, and Christian Bale kills it. I mean, granted, looking back at it, it is kind of weird and funny and very hilarious to look back at the Batman voice that he gave, especially in the later movies like The Dark Knight and The Dark Knight Rises. It's very stupid, but at the end of the day, Christian Bale is an amazing actor. He's a great method actor. He's a great chameleon of an actor, and he destroys as Batman. And he was really the first one to really dominate the Batman franchise with an actual Batman / Bruce Wayne story, because I think the thing that really disappoints when you go back and look at the Batman franchise as a whole, whether it be the Tim Burton verse or the Schumacher verse, it's very difficult to look at them as Batman stories, seeing as how they're so overly saturated with villain stories and overall villains. The Dark Knight trilogy has amazing villains and villain performances. However, the core of this specific trilogy is Bruce's story, his rise to become the Dark Knight, and his fall from grace, and of course his obvious, reign and, triumph and overall legacy that he leaves behind. And that's what I feel is the silver lining of the Dark Knight trilogy, that begins with, ironically enough, Batman Begins, and of course destroys with the Dark Knight, and obviously ends with Dark Knight Rises. Christian Bale kills it. He's an amazing actor. He did I personally think he was probably one of my favorite and best performances of Batman and Bruce Wayne together as one. And there's something that people forget, that all, I guess, comic book fans should always remember when you're dealing with the character of Batman and you're dealing with actors who portray the character of Batman, is that you're not only just playing Batman. There are specific roles and characters you put into when you're portraying Batman. You're portraying Bruce Wayne, but you're not only portraying Bruce Wayne, you're portraying variations of Bruce Wayne. You're portraying the character Bruce Wayne who lost his parents at a young age and who's tormented by it. You're dealing with Bruce Wayne, the fake, who's out there in the world, who's the billionaire playboy, who just gets in trouble and fucking has sex with models and has tons of parties or whatever. Then there's the Bruce Wayne behind closed doors as Batman, and then there's the actual important part, which is the Dark Knight. There's specific interpretations that people go through when they come into portraying the character of Bruce Wayne / Batman, and they never really officially always get it right. And I feel like Christian Bale was the first one to get all of these right. He betrayed Batman in all the right ways. He betrayed the great, young version of Batman who was going through, these trials and tribulations. Then he betrayed a great version of Bruce Wayne behind closed doors and outside as the billionaire playboy douchebag. And then he did an amazing job as the Caped Crusader, the Dark Knight himself. So I have to give it up to Dark Knight trilogy, and of course, Christian Bale's performance as Batman. Now, once again, it's my personal opinion, so keep that in mind. We don't know. The Dawn of Justice could be a very interesting interpretation of Batman. We just don't know. But with that being said, I'm going to skip the honorable mentions, considering the fact that there are other interpretations of Batman, but like I said, they're not specifically, a part of my criteria. So I'm going to skip it for now. However, they are amazing performances of Batman and Bruce Wayne, like David Masseuse or Kevin Porter. They're awesome. But that being said, skipping that honorable mentions part and getting to my number one pick has to go to Batman 89, Tim Burton versus Michael Keaton. Michael Keaton as Batman will always be my definitive version of Batman. He has always been, just a pleasure to watch. I mean, of course, it's the 80s. Once again, it's kind of hard to go back into a specific era and time in the Batman verse and watch that specific version of Batman. However, Michael Keaton, for an actor that no one thought could do an amazing job at Batman, destroys his Batman. He's so freaking good in those movies. That Batman and Batman Returns, he's so freaking good. Michael Keaton's voice is awesome. The look is awesome. His presence is great. Just overall, he defined what it meant to be the Dark Knight in a very dark, serious version of Batman that's outside of the serials, that's outside of the campiness of the 60s. And of course, it didn't last long. Of course, we didn't get to see that Batman continue on and on. I mean, of course, the Schumacherverse is kind of connected, quasi-connected, but overall, there's no denial in it. Michael Keaton is Batman. He is Batman. He is the version of Batman that I always go to as the voice and the look and just the presence. He's just so freaking good. And I wish he could have played Batman forever. Not the film forever, but, like Batman, like in every single movie, but he still will always be my definitive Batman. I love the Batmans that came before. I love the Batmans that have come after, and I can't wait for the Batmans of the future, like in Dawn of Justice, or the Dark Knight Trilogy, or the 60s, or, even the Schumacherverse. I love all these interpretations of the Dark Knight, and they're all good in their specific format. But at the end of the day, number one in my book will always go down to the definitive Batman, and that is Michael Keaton himself, the badass. But that being said and done, hope you guys enjoyed this little top 5 list of Batman actors. Of course, comment below and let me know what's your personal top 5 actors who portrayed Batman, the Dark Knight. And of course, remember, this is subjective. It's my personal list, my personal thoughts. So of course, my list may not gel with yours. Maybe you like, Val Kilmer over everybody. Maybe you like Adam West over everybody. Let me know in the comment section below. But that being said and done, next time on these BVS top 5s, I'll be giving you my top 5 Superman actor list. So be on the lookout for that. But that being said, comment below. Let me know which person you think. Shameless plug time. Follow me to Instagram at Josh12. Subscribe to my channel if you haven't done so already. And I hope you guys enjoyed. And this has been Josh12.